In this video, we're going to talk about how to back up your Cabinet Vision data. And I do want to stress the importance of this because I know it seems like nothing's ever going to happen. You know, storage and computers seem pretty stable nowadays, but there are still times, and I've helped many shops try to recover their data because something unexpected happened. So, very good idea to back up regularly and even store backups off-site periodically. So, with that spiel, let's get into how to actually back up your data. So from the main screen of Cabinet Vision, I'm going to go to Utilities, and I'm going to go to Backup Utility. And depending on what you see here, you may need to do a couple things. So if you highlight something, you can move the arrows to move it over. Now, there may be exceptions to this, but for the most part, you just want everything to be included. Like I said, there may be exceptions, like if you have some catalogs that you don't want to back up, you may pull those over into the ignore catalog or the ignore side, but just be careful with that. For the most part, everybody's going to want all of their things included in the backup. And some other helpful notes here. If I go into the settings bar here, you'll probably have these three checked by default. I typically just use this one right here. You can play with this depending on how you want to use it. I typically use delete all but the last, and then I set this to a big number like 20 or so. And you don't need to use any of these as well. This is just little warnings to help not use too much space. But like I said, I'd rather periodically go in myself and delete it rather than have a really small cap on my backups. Because there's times when you may not notice there's a problem, and you may need to go back 3 or 4 or even more backups to get what you need. So just be careful with how small you make this backup limit. You can choose a different location. By default, it's going to go in the Cabinet Vision folder, and then Cabinet Vision 2023 in my case, and then automatic backups. If you want to put this on Dropbox or a cloud service, that can definitely be a good idea, and you can change that here. And then I like to check the box that says use backup comment as folder name. Most times I leave it blank and let it just use the date stamp, but every now and then I do want to put a comment, so I like to have this here. And then just leave this include zip checked as well. So with that, I really don't use any of these 3 buttons. For the most part, all I'm doing is going in here and going to save backup. So let's retrace our steps. From the main screen of Cabinet Vision, go to Utilities, Backup Utility. It will remember our settings, everything that we just picked here, and everything that should be included. And then we can just click the Save. Now here's where, if I would type something, it would use this as the folder name. I'm going to leave it blank to show you how it will look if I leave it blank. And like I said, for the most part, I recommend leaving it blank. That way it puts the date and time stamp on it. So I'm going to click OK. And it's going to go through that. And while that's backing up, for a standalone version, obviously it doesn't matter where you back up because each computer is going to have their own backups. But if you are using a server version, absolutely critical that you back up on the server. I've seen all kinds of issues where people were doing regular backups, but they were always doing it from the workstation. And there's times when it will leave out the database or leave out important files because it was backed up on a workstation. So if you are using a server version, always back up from the server itself. Okay, so that backup finished. Now let's go look at the backup. So if you remember in the settings, there's the backup location. So you can just highlight that and Control-C to copy, or right-click and copy, and then go into your File Explorer, and then you can just click in the little path up at the top and Control-V to paste that in there. And that's just a little shortcut to open directly to where your backups are stored, which you can see now that it's on the C drive, program data, Hexagon, Cabinet Vision, CV 2023. Your path may be different if you had selected a different path when you was installing it. So just, if you're not sure where it's at, I would just go into your backup settings and copy it just like I did there. So now here is the backup that we just created, 2:06, 3 minutes ago. And you can see that I left the comment name blank, and so it automatically gives me this timestamp. This is what I like to happen by default. But there's times when, like I said, I need to make a backup. Like, say I'm about to make a major change. Sometimes I'll put, before changing all door names and make that a backup. That way I have a nice visual cue to what I was doing. Which you can also always come back and just add a little extension, and say what you did. If you want that visual cue. The date and timestamp is by far the most common. So that is how we make a backup from within Cabinet Vision. Now, I want to show you another way. If I close Cabinet Vision and just search for backup, you can see backup CV 2023 settings, or I can go into my all apps, go under Cabinet Vision 2023 and go to backup CV 2023 settings. And this takes you to that same little menu that we saw from the Utilities tab. Now, I find myself using the backup utility from within Cabinet Vision more often, but as you can see, both of these ways are exactly the same. So whatever your preference is, and you may even decide to go to backup CV settings, right click on it and open file location, and then send this to your desktop. So if I right click on it, of course Windows 11 hides all the handy links, but if I hit show more options and send to desktop, I can get that handy little shortcut right there, that way I don't forget about it. And so now I have that little reminder on my desktop, and then it just opens right to that screen. So however makes most sense for your workflow. Both options, like I said, do the exact same things, but I do want to stress that you do have a plan to do regular backups, at least once a week, and then I would definitely have some type of off-site backup, whether that's a cloud solution or physically taking a USB drive somewhere else, because your Cabinet Vision data is going to become increasingly valuable as you put more and more time into it.